Hi, my name is Caitlin Corser, and I am a student at the University of Michigan Flint. This is my research presentation on gender disparities in college motivational factors. Our study aimed to find out how college students are motivated. We understood the importance of earning a college degree for personal growth and career advancements, and understanding the actual student motivation behind earning a degree is really what we were trying to pinpoint. Specifically, we examined the influence of gender on intrinsic motivation among college students, and we used the self-determination theory. The self-determination theory helps define how social context and individuality influences different types of motivation, and it also explains that everyone has three psychological needs that really influence our motivation. These three psychological needs are autonomy, competence, and relatedness. In previous studies, it was determined that females reported higher levels of motivation overall and higher levels of both intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. This could be explained by social factors, as females are traditionally more agreeable and self-controlled as opposed to males. And based on these ideas, we hypothesized that females would score higher than males on intrinsic motivation. Next, we will talk about the method that we used for our research. Our study included a convenience sample that included 98 actively enrolled students. This consisted of 14 males and 84 females. Only participants that were taking at least 6 credits or more and identifying as either male or female were eligible to be included in the evaluation of results for this study. Our study also adhered to APA ethical standards and guidelines. Participants were invited to take part in the research process by a link that was distributed via email to the entire student body. The data was collected electronically through Qualtrics, and our survey questions included gender, age, employment status, living situation, how many dependents they might be caring for, the GPA or cumulative grade point average for students, and the current number of credit hours that they are enrolled in. We also included the academic motivation scale college version, and this consisted of 28 questions that were organized in the study and specific sections that correlated to which motivation type that they measured. And the three motivation types that were a part of the AMSC are intrinsic motivation, extrinsic, and amotivation. Each of the 28 questions in the AMSC were Likert scale questions that scored from 1 to 7, and the scores of the motivational factors were used to compare the male and female participants. The Cronbach's alpha determined that the AMSC used for our sample had high internal consistency, and this was at 0.898. The mean scores for intrinsic, extrinsic, and amotivation were determined from the AMSC survey, and this was divided into two groups for male and female participants. The data from Qualtrics was downloaded into an Excel spreadsheet, and we were able to input the data into SPSS for data analysis. The dependent variables that were measured were intrinsic motivation, extrinsic, and amotivation. The average scores from each measure were analyzed based on the participant's gender to determine their specific results. Our study was specifically concerned with internal or intrinsic motivation, so we conducted a t-test using SPSS to compare the mean scores of female and male participants. The female mean score was 54.6 with a standard deviation of 18.375, and males had a mean score of 42.29 with a standard deviation of 30.075. We also use Levine's test of equality of variance to do some analysis, and this was to assess whether the assumption of equal variance between the two groups was met. The results of Levine's test demonstrated that the internal motivation scores of female and male participants was not statistically significant. Here's a graph that I created that shows intrinsic motivation based upon gender and shows where the female mean and male mean was at for our participants. Our results showed that we were not able to support our hypothesis. We were not able to find that females exhibited higher intrinsic motivation than males, and there were some limitations to our study. We had a very disproportionate gender representation. with only having 14 males and 84 females, and this prevents causal inference between gender and intrinsic motivation. We were unable to determine. And suggestions for future research would include using a larger, more diverse sample, and I feel like this would really address the limitations and help us gain a deeper understanding of motivation and gender in education. Although we did have quite a few limitations, the study, I feel, contributes valuable insight to the dynamics of motivation in the college setting. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed this presentation.